Hey there, paranormal pals! Welcome back to The Compass, your guide through the haunted highways of history. Today, we're diving into some seriously spooky stuff that'll make you sleep with all the lights on, and maybe a nightlight, and possibly some garlic. Make sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you never miss a chance to scare yourself silly with us. We're counting down the top 5 most bone-chilling possession stories that have sent shivers down spines throughout history. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it!
Our first tale takes us to Germany in the groovy 70s, where Anneliese and Michel's possession was so intense, it made disco look tame. From speaking in tongues to growling like your grumpy neighbor's lawnmower, Anneliese's story is not for the faint-hearted. Grab your crucifix and hold on tight. This story starts like a lot of allegedly true possession stories, with a young person experiencing something unexplainable and terrifying. Anneliese was a devout Catholic, but around 16 years old she started having these seizures. I'm talking full-body convulsions, the works. Doctors diagnosed her with epilepsy, which, okay, that tracks. But here's where things take a turn for the creepy. Anneliese started seeing demonic faces, hearing voices. She'd contort her body in ways that would make a yoga instructor weep. Anneliese's family, devout as they were, became convinced she wasn't dealing with just epilepsy. They believed she was possessed. And not by just any old spirit, but by multiple demons. Talk about bad roommates. Priests were called in, the Catholic Church got involved, and things escalated quickly. We're talking multiple exorcisms, some lasting for hours. Imagine being subjected to that much incense and holy water. Tragically, Anneliese's ordeal went on for years. She underwent a grueling fasting regimen, believing it would help drive out the demons. But her health deteriorated, and in 1976, she died at the young age of 23. Her case remains one of the most documented and debated cases of alleged demonic possession. Was it mental illness? Was it something else entirely? You decide. Next up, we're revisiting the OG possession that inspired The Exorcist, Roland Doe's paranormal party in the 1940s. Picture this: levitation that could give Cirque du Soleil a run for its money and voices that sounded like a creepy remix of your grandma's bedtime stories. Time to call the Ghostbusters, or maybe just lock your bedroom door. Now we're going back in time to the 1940s, where a young boy named Roland Doe, a pseudonym of course to protect the innocent, became the unwilling star of his own horror movie. And it all started with a Ouija board. Never a good sign, guys. Roland was just a regular kid living in Maryland when, according to reports, he started messing around with a Ouija board that belonged to his, wait for it, spiritualist aunt. You'd think she'd know better, right? Soon after, things started going haywire. We're talking objects moving on their own, scratching sounds coming from the walls, and Roland exhibiting some seriously creepy behavior. Think Linda Blair in The Exorcist, but with less pea soup and more crucifix aversion. Priests were called in, and they were convinced that Roland was possessed. And not just by any old ghost looking for a chat. This was the big leagues, folks. We're talking demonic possession, complete with levitation, speaking in tongues, and an unnatural aversion to anything holy. The details of Roland's exorcism are the stuff of legend. We're talking bed shaking, objects flying across the room, and the poor kid's voice transforming into something straight out of the underworld. It was so intense that it reportedly took multiple priests and weeks of rituals to finally drive the entity out. Roland's story became the inspiration for The Exorcist, which, let's be honest, is basically the scariest movie ever made. So, the next time you're thinking about dabbling in a little Ouija board action, remember Roland Doe. Chapter 3. The Smurl Haunting. Now meet the Smurl family from Pennsylvania, who had a ghostly roommate that was more clingy than your ex on social media. From phantom slaps to furniture rearranging itself, their haunted house was like living in a horror-themed Airbnb. Note to self, always read the reviews before booking. Okay, buckle up. Because we're heading to West Pittston, Pennsylvania, to meet the Smurl family. They lived in a seemingly ordinary house, but trust me, their story is anything but ordinary. Imagine moving into your dream home, only to find out it comes with a side of demonic activity. Not exactly what the realtor advertised, right? It all started subtly. Weird smells, temperature changes, you know, the classic haunting starter pack, but things escalated quickly. We're talking objects moving on their own, disembodied voices, and even physical assaults. Imagine being pushed down the stairs by an unseen force. The Smurls, being the brave souls they were, tried to tough it out at first. They even brought in psychics and paranormal investigators hoping to get some answers, but the entity, or entities, weren't going anywhere. In fact, they seemed to be getting bolder, more aggressive.
The family described being scratched, slapped, and even sexually assaulted by unseen entities. Their story was so terrifying, so disturbing, that it became a media sensation.
The Smurls, at their wits' end, finally reached out to, you guessed it, demonologists Ed and Lorraine Warren. You know, the folks who dealt with the Amityville horror? Yeah, those guys. The Warrens, being the paranormal power couple that they were, showed up ready to rumble with whatever evil was plaguing the Smurl family. The Warrens conducted their investigation, and let's just say they weren't messing around. They claimed that the Smurl house was infested with multiple demonic entities, each more malevolent than the last. It was like a demonic house party, and the Smurls were the unfortunate guests of honor. The Warrens performed multiple exorcisms on the house, and things got pretty intense. We're talking holy water flying, prayers being chanted, and the demonic entities putting up one hell of a fight. The Smurl Haunting remains one of the most well-known and terrifying cases of its kind. It's a reminder that sometimes, the things that go bump in the night aren't just your imagination. Chapter 4. The Exorcism of Clara Germana Cele. Traveling back to 1906 in South Africa, Clara Germana Cele's possession had more twists than a horror movie plot. Imagine speaking in tongues so confusing, even Google Translate would throw in the towel. Her story proves that demons apparently have no chill, even in the early 1900s. Let's journey back to 1906 to South Africa, where a young woman named Clara Germana Cele found herself at the center of a terrifying ordeal. Clara, a student at a mission school, was known for her piety, but her world was about to be turned upside down in the most unsettling way. It started subtly: strange behavior, aversion to holy objects, the usual suspects when it comes to possession, but then things escalated quickly. We're talking levitation, superhuman strength, and speaking in languages Clara had never even been exposed to. It was like something out of The Exorcist, but set against the backdrop of colonial South Africa.
Witnesses claimed that Clara would growl, hiss, and even speak in a deep, guttural voice that seemed to belong to something else. She would contort her body in unnatural ways, defying the limits of human flexibility. It was a terrifying spectacle that left everyone who witnessed it shaken to their core.
Clara reportedly had an aversion to nuns and holy objects, which, okay, pretty standard demonic possession stuff. But she also displayed an uncanny knowledge of the personal lives of those around her, revealing secrets that she had no way of knowing. The case of Clara Germana Cele became a sensation. People flocked from miles around to witness the possessed young woman, drawn by a mixture of fear and morbid curiosity. The Catholic Church, alarmed by the accounts of Clara's possession, decided to intervene. 2 priests were called in to perform an exorcism on Clara. The exorcism, which lasted for 2 days, was a harrowing ordeal. Witnesses described Clara levitating, speaking in tongues, and even vomiting nails. It was a battle between good and evil, playing out in a small mission school in South Africa. After days of intense prayer and ritual, the priest declared Clara free from the demonic entity that had possessed her. Clara's story serves as a chilling reminder that the battle between the spiritual and the material world can manifest in ways we can't even begin to comprehend. Chapter 5. The Ammons Haunting Case. Last but not least, we've got the Ammons family from Indiana, whose home was so haunted it could double as a Halloween attraction. From weird whispers to shadowy figures, their paranormal predicament had more jump scares than your favorite horror flick. We're talking about the Ammons family haunting in Gary, Indiana. This one's got it all: demonic entities, unexplained illnesses, and enough creepy crawlies to make your skin crawl. LaToya Ammons and her 3 young children moved into a rental home in Gary, Indiana, and things went downhill faster than a runaway roller coaster. It started with strange occurrences like swarms of flies in the dead of winter. The children reported seeing shadowy figures, hearing voices, and experiencing physical attacks. We're talking full-on demonic possession vibes.
LaToya, a devoted mother, was understandably terrified for her children. She sought help from anyone who would listen: family, friends, even the police. But no one believed her story. But LaToya knew what she saw, and she wasn't backing down.
Desperate for help, LaToya contacted the Department of Child Services, hoping they would believe her story and help her children. And you know what? They did. The caseworker assigned to the Ammons family witnessed the paranormal activity firsthand, and was convinced that something truly evil was at play. The Ammons family case became a media sensation, with news outlets and paranormal investigators flocking to Gary, Indiana, to document the haunting. The Ammons family case remains one of the most well-documented and compelling cases of demonic possession in recent history. It's a chilling reminder that sometimes the most terrifying monsters are the ones we can't explain. Woo! We made it through those spine-chilling tales. Which story made you sleep with the lights on? Let us know in the comments below. And hey, if you enjoyed our ghostly adventure, give us a thumbs up and share this video with your friends who love a good scare. Don't forget to subscribe for more hair-raising tales and paranormal antics. Until next time, stay spooky, stay safe, and remember to close your windows tightly.